In this example, we're dealing with a soldier who is firing a missile. We know that the target of the missile is 7,512 meters from the position of the soldier. We also know that the missile launcher can launch the missile with a speed of 345 meters per second. The one other thing we know is that the missile's target is essentially at the same height as the point from which the missile is launched. Alright, and the question is, at what angle should the soldier fire the missile? Well, since we know that the missile will land at essentially the same height from which it was fired, we know we can use the range equation. The range equation says that the range of any missile is v0 squared times the sine of 2 theta over g. Now remember, when using the range equation, g is always positive. So let's stick in what we know. We know the range needs to be 7,512 meters. That's the only way it's going to reach its target. We also know that the initial speed is 345 meters per second. We have to square that. We don't know the angle. However, we do know g, 9.8 meters per second squared, always being positive in the range equation. Now in this equation, the only thing we don't know is theta, so we can solve for it. Solving for it's a little tricky, however. First, we isolate it by multiplying both sides by 9.8 meters per second squared and dividing both sides by 345 meters per second quantity squared. When we do that, we find that sine 2 theta is 7,512 meters times 9.8 meters per second squared divided by 119,025 meters squared per second squared. Looking at the units, on the top of the fraction we have meters times meters. That gives us meters squared, which cancels with the meters squared on the bottom. Also, the second squared on the top cancels with the second squared on the bottom. So in the end, we have no units. That's good. You'll see why in a moment. When we work out the numbers, we get 0.62. So we know that the sine of 2 theta is equal to 0.62. But how do we solve for theta? Well, we first have to take the inverse sine of both sides. That 2 theta is the argument of the sine function. So we first have to get rid of the sine function before we can access that 2 theta. So 2 theta is the inverse sine of 0.62. Now you see why it's good that we have no units. Because when we're dealing with trigonometry, the argument of trigonometric functions shouldn't have units. When we take the inverse sine of 0.62, we get 38 degrees. So 2 theta is 38 degrees, which means that theta is 19 degrees. So the soldier should fire his missile at an angle of 19 degrees.